My name is Barry Schnurr. I'm the CEO of David Schnurr Associates, and welcome Darren Vine with XL Precision. Darren, thanks for hanging out.
No problem.
Let's talk before kind of doing a review of everything you guys do. Can we talk about the advantages of using a laser cut hypotube in a delivery system? What are the trade-offs? What are we looking at?
Yeah, with a laser cut hypotube, you do get some key advantages. You get some pretty high kink resistance because of the nature of the hypotube. The cross section of it and the hoop stress in there helps to retain a good kink resistance. The other thing is obviously ovality along the tube. Even if you're going around some quite tortuous curves and things like that in the anatomy, it does retain pretty good ovality. So that gives then the design engineer a lot of space in which to have a security that they can deliver a device down that central lumen. High torque resistance, high torque is also a big advantage. Depending on the type of laser cut pattern, if you do an interrupted spiral hypercut, you have a good chunk of spine of stainless steel running down that, solid steel running down that shaft, which does give you pretty high torque outputs at the distal end.
I think this sort of starts to illustrate more of what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it does. So what you're also able to do with the laser cut tube is along that shaft, you can put other features into the tube. You can put in small tab-like features, windows, drill holes there for attaching a PTFE liner. And you can also vary the type of pattern that you're using along the tube to get a different flexibility and different stiffness from the proximal end to the distal end.
Very good. Yeah, I think the evolution of these patterns over the last number of years has been incredible. I remember when we first saw the first of the puzzle piece designs come out. You know, it's just brilliant to see all of our customers creatively take this technology and come up with new applications, new ways of using the opportunity. And as you said, I mean, this interrupted spiral cut pattern, you know, answers some of the issues with, you know, that a coil had created.
Yeah, it's probably, I would say it's probably the workhorse pattern that we use at XL. It gives a good degree of flexibility. If you want more flexibility, probably go into a radial cut slot pattern, but there then becomes some disadvantages there with kind of pushability and retaining some, it's very difficult in handling unless it's right at the distal end. Some other advantages with laser cutting a tube along that whole length is that you can do things like the laser ablation. So we can control the focal length of the laser into the tube wall and create knurl or radial rings for overmolding or UV bonding. And they do really make an impact because it gives a nice keying feature there on the OD surface of the hypotube.
Got it. So I was going to ask you about you know, applications that might combine multiple technologies and take advantage of what you guys do at XL. So it's fair to say that not everything is either an EDM process or a laser process or a conventional micromachining process. There are challenges that bring these together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of our big selling points. It's one of our USPs is that we've got 4 or 5 good, solid, traditional machining capabilities from laser tube cutting, flat laser cutting, traditional CNC machining, 3D printing, and EDM wire and sync machining, where we're not a jack of all trades, but we are literally under one roof, a master of all those trades. We've got several engineers who have got, you know, plus 20, 30 years experience in those capabilities. So we can look at a different component and bring the best solution to the customer to that, and then that can follow on to the Hypotube itself. If we need to laser weld something onto the OD of the tube, that can be a real benefit for the design engineer as well.
Okay. One thing that we hadn't really talked on before, and I did just want to pull in, was the metal 3D printing. You see that capability interacting with shaft development, or is that sort of a separate class of product or of a challenge that you're seeing from customers right now?
For a Hypotube, I've not got many applications of 3D printing, but it wouldn't surprise me if tomorrow I've got something in my inbox from one of the DSA reps asking for that. But we do several products for customers where we 3D print quite a small micro machine part, maybe down to less than 200 thou, down to maybe 80 thou in size. And we laser weld that to a 200-300 millimeter long tube, and it's for an application for a sports med application. So we are seeing 3D printed components being used more and more in medical device applications. And if we need, we obviously got other capabilities that we can make sure we get that final component the customer's looking for.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I was wondering is if you saw, for instance, tips for fluid flow or sensors or other things being fabricated that way. I guess it's just always a trade-off between doing that way or with a good, fast, conventional machinist, right?
Yeah. The one advantage with the 3D printing, and the other area where we've got a lot of strength is our EDM machining, and that can be turned. We've turned that very much to high volume manufacturing, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 units a year. So that's seen as a capability that maybe was used only for tool making, but we've very much, we've developed that for high volume medical device manufacturing.
Very good. And then the final thing I'll highlight just here, and feel free to riff on it. You even, show on this, the PET outer jacket. One of the things we'll talk about in the panel is how different companies work with partners and supply chain and other things. But you obviously don't make heat shrink, but you source heat shrink tubing and apply it, where customers want it. On the other hand, XL is also a supplier to other contract manufacturers, right, or customers directly. So, we are talking, I think, one of the things we'll obviously our attendees know, right? There's a choice between design and make it yourself and build, right? And so we have, some of our customers want to build these products and assemble them themselves, and then we're supplying materials, and others want to, get as complex and complete an assembly as they possibly can. Any comments on that?
Absolutely. We've got several, we supply both some of the very large medical device companies, the top 5, and we're just, supplying them components, which is fine. We've got some great contract manufacturing partners that we are supplying sub-assemblies, and to some degree we've become their supplier of choice for anything metal, because they feel they've got great confidence in XL. And and then we've got some smaller companies that we deal with, OEMs, where they say, hey, we'd like you to make that whole kind of sub-assembly. You source the materials, you bring it together and put it through your Class 7 clean room. So yeah, we're humble enough to deal with everybody, Barry.
Very good. All right, well, thank you. Please do follow up with us on anything specific. Again, you can either get a hold of us through the DSA website and just send us questions with what you need. Talk to you soon.